Chapter 1. My dad has a severe intellectual disability. My mom has a serious mental illness. My grandma found my mom during a trip to the county market. Seeing she was homeless, she brought her back to our little town, married her to my dad, and then I came along. Luckily, I'm not disabled. I don't have any hereditary mental conditions. In fact, I'm not only smart, but I also ended up being ridiculously good-looking. Grandma absolutely adores me. She says I'm the spitting image of my grandfather, who died decades ago. It's a shame we were so poor and Grandma was getting old. She already had to take care of my dad and my mom. There wasn't much left over for me. So, she loved me with her words and her spirit. Of course, I was a good kid. I got straight A's and knew how to do every kind of farm chore you could think of. The other kids in Harmony Creek didn't start helping with the harvest until they were 10. I was out there at 7. Pulling peanuts, digging up sweet potatoes, chopping feed for the pigs. I was a pro at all of it. And the crazy part? It never hurt my grades. Because I was smart and capable, everyone in town had something nice to say about me. At school, the teachers and the principal were always using me as an example. On top of that, my grandma is a naturally cheerful person. Between her influence and a decent community, I never developed any weird, withdrawn, or self-pitying personality traits. For high school, I went to a private academy. The reason was simple. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. They waived my tuition, book fees, activity fees, and room and board. And because of my family's financial situation, they gave me a $1,000 monthly stipend for food. They even threw in a one-time scholarship of $50,000. $50,000. I'd scored the highest on the entrance exams in the entire region. And to recruit me, they gave me $50,000. My family's total assets didn't even add up to $300. I aced a test and suddenly became the richest person in town, all while getting a free education. Unbelievable. The only downside was how far it was from home, all the way in Philadelphia. Getting back required a few bus transfers and took over 9 hours. But man, that private school was an eye-opener. Every building dripped with an imposing, old-money elegance. They had facilities I'd never even seen before. Even the running track felt like it was cushioned with a carpet. The dorm room felt like walking into a luxury apartment. It was spacious, with every amenity you could imagine. A private bathroom, its own vanity and sink area, and a balcony. Air conditioning, a ceiling fan, a washer and dryer, filtered drinking water, an instant water heater, all standard. The craziest part? They had a cleaning service. Holy crap. My middle school boarding house had been a single room with 30 other guys, sleeping on brick platforms built against the walls with a long table down the middle. Compared to this, my old life felt pathetic. I heard the school uniform alone cost over $1,000. I'd never worn anything that expensive in my life. I always washed it by hand. I was terrified the washing machine would ruin it. Leo Hayes, you're amazing. I shouted to myself one day, feeling on top of the world. I wish everyone I love and who loves me to be happy, healthy, lucky, and safe forever. Leo Hayes is my name. My grandma picked it, hoping I'd always be safe and at peace. I honestly wished I could study here forever. It would be perfect if I could just bring Grandma and my parents here. I heard this was an international boarding school for the elite. Basically, all the students were rich. A single semester's tuition was nearly $20,000. Good Lord. I wondered if they'd charge me tuition if I had to repeat a year. If not, I'd seriously consider staying here for life. The school had dorms for 6, 4, or 2 people. They put me in a double. My roommate's name was Ethan Cole. I heard his family was worth billions. Super rich. The school had intentionally made me his roommate. His grades were only about average, so they were probably hoping I'd tutor him in my spare time. Of course, Ethan was incredibly generous, and I was more than willing to help him. He covered our utilities and even paid for all my meals. He also gave me the clothes and shoes he got tired of. I was just thankful we were about the same size, right down to our shoes, otherwise I would have cried. This was designer stuff, thousands of dollars a pop. Ethan was my benefactor, my big bro. I volunteered for every errand, did his laundry, and even helped with his homework. Whatever he was into, I dove in head first. He played video games, so I practiced every spare minute. I had to be the perfect support player for him. He messed around with musical instruments, so I learned alongside him so we could talk about it. He played basketball, So I played too, always fighting for the rebound to set him up for a three-pointer. He took up boxing, so I became his sparring partner. I learned what he learned, thought what he thought. Bottom line, keep the big man happy. When he was happy, he'd toss a lot of money my way. Grandma taught me that. When you're dealing with people in high places, don't be insecure. Don't be timid. You don't have to just kiss their ass. You have to learn their interests, study them, and find ways to show your own value. You have to understand their personality and be willing to take initiative and get things done to become their indispensable right-hand man. Make them see your worth. Win their deep, genuine respect through sincerity and competence. So, when it came to Ethan's hobbies, I worked even harder than he did. That way, I could be both a friend and a mentor to him, an essential part of his life. After all, for a guy with $1 billion fortune, there was a long line of people willing to do his dirty work. Besides, didn't you see the headmaster sucking up to him? If I didn't have something special to offer, how could I ever get his attention? But at school, besides a few of the senior teachers who saw my potential, the other students just sneered at me behind my back, calling me Ethan's bootlicking lackey. They even gave me a nickname, the Butler. Like I was some character out of an old movie, a professional suck-up. These nerds, they just didn't get it. Who was Ethan Cole? They should be thanking their lucky stars they even got to be his classmate. They were given an opportunity and didn't know how to use it, still pretending to be above it all. So, throughout high school, my reputation wasn't great. To make matters worse, the school wanted to build up its public image, publicize my family situation. They got the media to do a big story on my disabled dad, my mentally ill mom, my elderly grandma, and me, the hardworking student. Sigh, whatever. I didn't care. As a result, even though I was handsome and had top grades, not a single girl had a crush on me in all of high school. They wouldn't even give me the time of day. And don't even get me started on the guys my age who treated me like the enemy. But so what? Leo Hayes, you're so lucky, I'd say to myself. I hope my big bro Ethan has nothing but good days, that he stays golden forever, always happy and safe. I wasn't as grateful to the school, even though they were good to me. And just like that, the two of us got along great for a year. The only problem was his grades went down, and I somehow dropped out of the top 100. People were saying all sorts of things about me, but I figured they were just jealous because they didn't have a big bro like mine. It was just sour grapes. Chapter 2, by sophomore year, the school was getting anxious and wanted to separate us. I said no. Ethan said no, too. See, my place in Ethan's world was already secure. In the end, I had to make a solemn vow to the administration that I'd get our grades into the top 5 in our year by the midterm exams. Only then did they back off. That semester, a new freshman named Chloe Reed showed up, and she was stunningly beautiful. She started coming around to see Ethan all the time, and every time she did, it caused a commotion among the guys in our class. Ethan proudly announced that he and Chloe had been engaged since they were kids, and Chloe didn't deny it. That made every guy in school insanely jealous. Everyone knew about Ethan's family background, so no one dared to even try talking to Chloe. Besides, Chloe's family was also in the billion-dollar league. Holy crap, $1 billion plus $1 billion. When they got married, how could they ever spend all that money? From then on, our duo became a trio. Of course, even with the vow I'd made to the school, my number one priority was still keeping my benefactor happy. Serving him was way better than working some part-time job, and the rewards were more than I could make working 10 jobs. But now, the benefactor's wife had arrived, so I went from serving one person to serving two. But after less than 2 months, Chloe's initial warmth toward me started to fade. I knew why. Someone had obviously been bad-mouthing me to her, and, conveniently, she saw that I was exactly what they described. But I wasn't bothered at all. A few wins in a video game would smooth things over. Juggling 2 people on top of Ethan's ever-expanding list of hobbies meant my study time was even tighter than freshman year. In the end, I only managed to get us into the top 20. The school didn't say anything, though. Ethan didn't want me to move, and while I hadn't hit my target, I was close enough. By the second semester of junior year, I finally reclaimed my spot at the top of the class, acing all 10 mock exams. But then, Chloe started acting up again. The kind of mood that not even carrying her to a victory in a game could fix. She said a top student like me shouldn't be so servile that I acted like a pathetic, bootlicking dog around Ethan. What the hell? I've been like this since the day she met me. Why was she suddenly pissed off about it now? One day at lunch, Chloe watched me eagerly putting food on Ethan's plate and said, her voice dripping with disdain, "You leech off us for everything. Don't you feel any shame?" I shot her a look, speechless. Seriously? I had never mooched a single thing off of her. Who did her homework for her? Who carried her to the highest rank in her favorite online game? She never paid me a dime for my services, so what right did she have to criticize me? For the past 2 years, I'd been using Ethan's card for my meals, and when we went out, I was the one paying with his card. How did that turn into me leeching off them? Weren't we all leeching off Ethan? We were in the same boat. How dare she call me out? I ignored her. Seeing that I wasn't responding, she pressed on. Your clothes, your shoes, your phone, your tablet. It's all my brother's unwanted junk. Don't you have any self-respect? Her tone was disgusted, like I was some kind of rat scurrying in the shadows. Holy crap, this little brat. When she needed me to carry her in a game, she was all, "Leo, my hero, come save me." Now that she didn't need me, she was calling me shameless and spineless? While looking after Ethan these past 2 years, I'd spent just as much time waiting on her. Not only did I run her errands and do her homework, but I also delivered breakfast to the girls' dorm for her every single day. If it wasn't for her, I would have been back at the top of the class ages ago. And now, with graduation right around the corner, she pulls this crap on me? Did she really think she could drive a wedge between me and Ethan? You're too naive. I turned to Ethan, my face a mask of wounded innocence, and put on my most theatrical voice. "Bro, you hear what Chloe is saying? I only use your things because I like having your scent around me. But Chloe is your little sister, so of course I won't blame her. She must be jealous because she can't carry your scent with her all the time like I can." Chloe's jaw dropped. She also called Ethan brother, even though they were supposedly engaged. She could have just called him Ethan, like me. But no, she had to call him brother, making them sound like actual siblings. Ethan's mouth twitched. He reached over and turned my head away. "Ugh, stop it. You're grossing me out, man." I turned back, my voice now a high-pitched whine. "Brother, after 3 years of being by your side day and night, are you tired of me now, too?" As I spoke, I reached for the hem of his shirt. Ethan jumped to his feet. "Dude, don't come near me. I swear I'll kick you. You're a total creep." He feigned a kick in my direction. I immediately looked heartbroken. "Brother, are you choosing your sister over me? I'm the one who cares about you the most." "Jesus, Chloe, let's go. This guy's lost his mind," he said, waving her over. As he left, he gave me a light tap with his foot. Chloe snapped out of her shock, shot me a dirty look, and hurried after him. After they were gone, I smirked. Chloe wanted to play games with me? After 3 years, I knew Ethan inside and out. I knew exactly how to give him the emotional validation he craved. If I were a girl, would there even be a place for his fiancée, Chloe? I glanced at the food left on the table. All mine now. Man, I wish I could bring Grandma and my parents here to eat this. Thanks to Ethan, I've been eating well for the past 3 years. I'd shot up in height since I first came here, and I was now a good 4 inches taller than him. Luckily, I could still fit into his clothes. Chapter 3, because of Ethan, I was able to move my grandma, my dad, and my mom to the city during my sophomore year. I took them to the best medical center for a full checkup. Then, I got them into a top-tier rehabilitation and care facility. It was the kind of place usually reserved for high-ranking officials. I wanted to get all their health problems, big and small, properly treated and give their bodies a chance to recover. I had told Ethan about my family. I told him how worried I was about their health, especially my grandma's. It was his idea, and he was the one who pulled the strings to make it happen. It was expensive. For all 3 of them, the treatment, therapy, room, board, and nursing care came out to $150,000. I negotiated for a 2-year plan, ending on the day of my high school graduation. Ethan paid for it. I wrote him an IOU, but he just tore it up. Grandma knew about it, too. When I first brought her to the facility and she heard the cost, she was stunned for a moment. But after I explained where the money came from, she calmly accepted the arrangement. Using the old fountain pen my grandfather had given her as an engagement gift, she carefully wrote out a new IOU, had me sign it, and handed it to Ethan herself. Only then did he accept it. My grandma never doubted for a second that I would be able to pay it back someday. She taught me, a man must be worthy of the kindness he receives. Never accept a favor you haven't earned. I could work for him, run errands, and get paid. But to accept a handout like that for nothing in return, that would be greed. And greedy people, she said, never last. They always end up being despised. Of course, over these 3 years, I wasn't just a mindless suck-up. I followed Ethan to his family's corporate headquarters, learning about the business. I attended executive-level conferences and galas. I learned with him about stock trading, business deals, and investing, getting a feel for market trends. Being with him taught me so much that could never be found in a textbook. Ethan was my benefactor, which meant his future wife was someone I had to take seriously. So, I couldn't hold a grudge against Chloe for the things she said. But after she fired that first shot at me, she became more and more shameless, her words growing sharper and more cutting. She'd pick a fight with me every time she saw me, sometimes even getting physical. I was completely exasperated. This future Mrs. Cole was going to be a real handful. It looked like my future career at the Cole Corporation was going to be a bumpy ride. As graduation approached, we didn't hang out as much, but we always made a point to go off campus for a bit on weekend afternoons. One day, Ethan and I were playing games at a coffee shop when Chloe came looking for him. "Hey, beautiful, come join us," I said, leaning back in my chair with a playful grin. "You're sick," she shot back, rolling her eyes. "Oh, you're sick? Well, in that case, never mind. Hope you feel better soon. We can play together when you're all recovered." Ethan burst out laughing. I gave my big bro a meaningful look. Got it. I'd found a new way to keep him entertained. Looks like I'd have to start sacrificing his wife for the cause. Chloe was so angry she walked over and kicked my chair, telling me to get up and give her my seat. I gave her a defiant look, sat up straight, and went back to my game. "You gold digger. Here's $1,000. Give me the seat," she said, pulling out her phone and sending me $1,000 via payment app. Holy crap. I took a deep breath. I had to maximize this opportunity. Time for a bidding war. "Hey, 1,000? You call that a power move? You, 5,000. Go give me a glass of water," I said, challenging her. "You? I'll give you 10,000. Just disappear, now," she retorted, sending another 10 grand. I quickly accepted the payment. "Is that all you've got?" I taunted. "The great Miss Reed isn't so impressive after all. Go on, get my big bro a glass of water. I'll pay you a $50,000 service fee." Hey, Ethan cut me off. "Quit while you're ahead. Be careful, or her family will come after you." I got the message instantly. Chloe's family was strict. Any unusual expenses would definitely be questioned. And this idiot would surely sell me out. A couple of thousand was probably within her normal spending habits, so I could get away with that. I immediately stood up, a beaming smile on my face, and clasped my hands together in a gesture of respect. Mrs. Cole is truly generous, a woman of immense spirit. I, Leo, admit defeat. "You're Mrs. Cole. Your whole family is Mrs. Cole." Chloe yelled and lunged to kick me again. I didn't dodge. I just pocketed $1,100 from her. I figured it was payment for past services. A few kicks were like an added bonus. No big deal, but she started to get carried away. A few kicks weren't enough. Now she was trying to use her hands. "I can't win, but I can run, can't I?" I scrambled away. Behind me, I heard the clatter of a falling chair and Ethan's laughter. The big man was having a good time. Looks like he enjoyed watching me bicker with his future wife. Keeping my big bro in good spirits was my duty. From that day on, if she picked a fight with me, I'd fight back. If she didn't pick a fight with me, I'd start one. As long as I could still hear my big bro's laughter, I wasn't going to stop. Because all I wanted was for him to be happy, always. Chapter 4. After graduation, I planned to take my grandma, dad, and mom back to the countryside. Ethan offered to drive us, but I didn't want to trouble him. The reason was, apart from my grandma, my parents could be difficult. I was afraid they'd make a mess in his expensive car. Plus, the mountain roads could easily scrape the undercarriage of a car. I knew from going off-roading with Ethan how much repairs could cost. He could afford it, of course, but I'd still feel terrible. It would be entirely my fault. But then Chloe, who had to get special permission to take time off, insisted on coming along. So that settled that. I was surprised, though. How could the Reeds let their precious daughter go with me into the mountains? Weren't they afraid it was dangerous? Weren't they worried some backwoods hick might take advantage of her? It wasn't until the Reeds treated us to a farewell dinner that I understood. At the table, I saw how much they trusted Ethan. After all, they were practically engaged. They were going to be a married couple someday. A trip together wasn't a big deal. We took 2 cars. I strapped my mom into the passenger seat of one. My grandma sat in the back with my dad. I drove. I learned to drive my freshman year. How could you hang with a guy like Ethan and not know how to drive? I didn't just know how to drive. I was good at racing and off-roading too. Of course, I had a license. I started school late, so I was actually 2 years older than Ethan, already 20. Chloe was 17, 3 years younger than me. Ethan drove the other car, with Chloe riding shotgun. He had a license too. I led the way, flying down the highway toward home. We had walkie-talkies on. As I drove, I made sure to keep the mood light, cracking jokes so Ethan wouldn't get bored. Grandma was very familiar with Ethan and would often chime in, chatting with him. She might be old, but she wasn't stuffy at all. And like me, she loved to learn. Whether at home or in the care facility, she never broke her habit of reading every day. My grandma was educated. She had a middle school diploma and had even been the village teacher for a long time. I respected her deeply and never lied to her. She knew about Ethan's background, how he had helped me over the years, and that I was basically his right-hand man. She told me, everyone goes through different stages in life, and each stage has its own meaning and value. This stage, with Ethan, was the best possible training for the life I would lead later. The real meaning and value of knowing Ethan was in discovering my own inner worth, potential, and goals. She would have preferred a life for me that was free and happy, without constraints. But she was just an old woman. No matter how many wishes she made, the heavens weren't listening. I still had to face life's hardships. But a truly wise person, she said, doesn't run from suffering. They face it head-on, finding peace and composure through life's trials. Besides, being with Ethan was 100 times better than working part-time jobs and sacrificing my study time. When the wheat is all sown, I'll head for the south. Ain't nobody in this world can be free from me now. I sang at the top of my lungs. Wind blows the wheat fields, wave goodbye to the sun, keep on walking till I reach the ocean's end. Ethan started singing along with me. With me, he was always the one in charge, but he was never arrogant. His manners and refined way of speaking were ingrained from childhood, and I learned a lot just by watching him. He never looked down on me. He treated me like a real friend. When we got to the village, all the folks who still lived there came over to our house to see what was going on. From the 2 cars, I unloaded gifts I had bought specifically for each family in the village. It had helped us out a lot when I was a kid. Now that I had some money, it was my turn to give back. Our house was made of mud bricks, built back when my grandfather was still alive. It had been empty for 2 years, but it didn't need much cleaning. With help from the neighbors, we had the place tidied up in no time. My younger cousin brought over some game he had trapped in the mountains. I asked him to buy a couple of goats for me when he had a chance. Most of the people in the village were relatives from my grandma's side. Even if they weren't direct relatives, you could find a connection if you looked hard enough. My 2 aunts were busy in the kitchen. To my surprise, Chloe walked in too and squatted by the well pump to help wash vegetables. I looked at her, a little stunned. She scooped up a handful of water and splashed it at me. I didn't provoke her. Now wasn't the time for our usual banter. There was work to be done, and Ethan wasn't around. Without an audience, there was no point. Soon, with the help of my aunts and Chloe, I had a whole feast laid out on the table. Some of the men from the village came over to drink with us. During the meal, they told Ethan and Chloe all sorts of stories about me as a kid. Most of them were pretty sad, but I didn't feel any sorrow listening to them. Grandma says sad things happen every day, so we have to find our own reasons to be happy. And right now, I was very happy. We drank for a long time, well past 11 at night. Ethan and Chloe were both drunk. Everyone pitched in to carry them to bed. Our house had 3 rooms. Grandma slept in one with my mom. I took a woven mat and laid it out under the apricot tree by the door, sleeping outside with my dad. Ethan and Chloe each got their own room. Chloe, despite being drunk, still hated me and insisted on sleeping in my room. Probably because my room was filled with books and looked a little nicer. Whatever. The beds were just straw mattresses anyway. The conditions were pretty rough all around. My bro Ethan was already roughing it. It couldn't get much worse. The next morning, I made them breakfast and got ready to go up the mountain to pay respects to my grandfather. I hadn't been back in 2 years. The villagers would clean his grave for me during the annual tomb sweeping festival, but I felt that since I was back, I should go see him myself. I gathered the offerings, a few burlap sacks, and a carrying pole. Just as I was about to leave, Chloe and Ethan woke up. "Leo, where are you going?" Ethan asked. "I haven't been back in 2 years. I'm going to visit my grandpa's grave," I replied. "Let's go with you," Chloe chimed in. "The mountain path is really rough," I said, exasperated. "Brother, make him take us," Chloe pleaded with Ethan when she saw I didn't want them to come. "Let's just go. She won't give up otherwise," Ethan said. And so, the three of us went together. Chapter 5. My grandfather was buried on a mountain high above the river embankment that had broken all those years ago. From there, you could see the great river snaking its way into the distance. The view was beautiful, but the mountain was a tough climb, at least for Chloe. For Ethan and me, it was manageable. With Ethan on one side and me on the other, we practically dragged Chloe up the mountain. My grandfather's grave was encircled by a neat ring of apricot trees, each one 20 or 30 feet tall. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, making a soft shushing sound, as if they were welcoming us. My grandma planted these trees herself. In the South, apricots are ripe by June. After paying our respects, we started picking them. Ethan knew the story of my grandfather. Even though it was his first time here, the moment he saw the apricot trees, he knew my grandma had planted them. My grandma loved apricots. He had heard her talk about her and my grandpa. He knew how much she loved him, and he knew that the single apricot tree in front of our house had been planted by my grandpa. Planting all these trees here was her way of remembering him. So, as he ate an apricot, he started telling Chloe the story of my grandparents. My grandfather's name was Arthur Hayes. Grandma said I looked a lot like him, which must mean he was a handsome guy. He was a college student from the city who had come to the countryside as a Vista volunteer back in the day. Of course, my grandma was beautiful when she was young, and she was educated too. She only had a middle school education, which would be nothing now, but back then, it meant a lot. That year, my grandma was the only teacher at the small village school. My grandpa and grandma met for the first time at a welcome ceremony the school organized for the volunteers. A single glance was all it took. They fell in love. But love back then wasn't like it is now. Theirs was quiet, reserved. They didn't dare be too obvious. Life was hard, and people's thinking was very traditional. When it came to marriage, it was all about your parents' approval and a matchmaker's introduction. My grandpa was from the city, but his family was only slightly better off than my grandma's. Even so, his family was dead set against him marrying my grandma. He was a college graduate, after all. When he went back to the city, he was guaranteed a stable government job. How could they let him marry a country girl? It caused a huge fight. His family almost disowned him. But in the end, my grandpa chose to stay in the countryside and marry my grandma. That year, the flood came. As a community leader, my grandpa was the first to rush to the front lines to help. He died there, a hero in the flood relief effort. When my grandma heard the terrible news, she was pregnant and had my father, who was only 4, in tow. She dragged herself through the pouring rain, searching everywhere for my grandpa. The moment she saw his body, she collapsed. She lost the baby, and my father, from being soaked in the rain, came down with a fever so high it left him with a permanent intellectual disability. I can't imagine how my grandma endured one tragedy after another like that. I asked her about it once. She can face the past calmly now. She told me she had thought about taking my dad and killing herself to be with my grandpa several times, but she never did. She wanted to carry on my grandpa's family line. No matter the cost, she was determined to find a wife for my disabled father, to have a child for my grandpa. And that's how my mentally ill mother, who she found wandering the streets, ended up coming home with her. Chloe was deeply moved by the story. "Leo, what do you want to do when you grow up?" she asked. "Make enough money to buy a house, a car, and get married." I shouted, facing the river below. "That's so boring. I shouldn't have asked," Chloe said, pouting. She thought my grandfather was a great man, who gave up the city for love, served the people, and sacrificed his life for them without a second thought. She thought my grandma was great, too, for raising a disabled son alone, for staying true to that love, for finding a wife for her son, carrying on the family line, and raising 3 people by herself, all while putting me through school. She thought my ambitions should be grander. I stretched, facing the river. You know, if you look at it from another angle, my grandpa abandoned his parents for love, and then abandoned his wife and child for other people. I wouldn't call that great. And my grandma was basically involved in human trafficking. My sentence was cut short by sharp pain. Ow! I spun around. Chloe, what the hell is wrong with you? Why'd you throw an apricot at me? Because something is wrong with me. You got a problem with that? Look at you. Is that something a human being would say? I'm going to hit you again, she said, chucking another apricot at me. Smack! I snatched it out of the air and took a bite. Seeing this, Chloe got up in a huff to come and kick me. But she stood up too fast, lost her balance, and twisted her ankle. As punishment for what I said, she insisted that I carry her down the mountain. Are you kidding me? You twisted your own ankle. Why do I have to carry you? Well, it's not like Ethan could carry her. Damn it. It had to be me. I dutifully carried her all the way down the mountain. Grandma had someone bring a bag of ice. She wrapped it in a cloth and gently applied it to Chloe's ankle, massaging it. It wasn't serious. Under Grandma's expert hands, Chloe was able to walk in less than half an hour. Just in case, Grandma also prepared a poultice of medicinal herbs and wrapped it around her ankle. While Grandma was wrapping her foot, Chloe complained about me nonstop, telling Grandma all about how I bullied her at school. What the hell? When have I ever bullied her? If our bickering counted as bullying, then she bullied me just as much. The things she said were 100 times worse than anything I ever said. Grandma just chuckled and soothed her, promising to give me a good scolding. I rolled my eyes. Seeing she was fine, I went into the kitchen to cook. At noon, most of the villagers were busy, so I only had to make enough food for the few of us. We ate under the apricot tree. Chloe looked up at the tree and asked, Grandma, did you plant this one too? Why is there only one here? Your grandpa planted this tree when we got married, Grandma said, also looking up at its branches. Was it because you love apricots, so he planted it for you? Yes. Grandma, can you tell me more stories about you and Grandpa? Ah, what's there to tell? It was all decades ago. Grandma, Chloe whined playfully. All right. I'll tell you after we finish eating, Grandma replied with a smile. Chapter 6 That evening, my younger cousin brought over 2 live goats, and Chloe absolutely loved them. For the next few days, if Chloe wasn't feeding the goats, she was glued to my grandma's side, listening to love stories from a bygone era. Meanwhile, I borrowed a couple of hunting dogs and spent my days with my cousins, taking Ethan deep into the mountains. I told Ethan before he came that there was big game in these woods, so he came fully prepared. He even brought a thermal imaging scope. The gear he brought made my cousin's old hunting rifles look like toys. My big bro was about to head off to study in England. It would be hard to see him after that. As his host and a local, I had to make sure he experienced the best of what our mountains had to offer. We went out early and came back late for days, bagging a lot of game. We got plenty of rabbits and pheasants, of course, but we also took down more than 10 wild boars and even a wild buffalo. There weren't many able-bodied men left in the village, so almost everyone had to help haul the meat down the mountain. Because of that, we never got around to butchering the 2 goats we bought. Ethan was nearly swept away by the villagers' endless praise. That was exactly what I wanted. I was sure this trip would be something he'd remember for the rest of his life. And when he came back from England, he definitely wouldn't forget me. Of course, I didn't just take him hunting. With his gear, if we kept at it, we'd probably wipe out every animal within a 30-mile radius. So I mixed it up with other activities, catching field mice, trapping frogs in the mud, fishing, swimming. Anything you could do in the mountains, I had it on the itinerary. Sometimes Chloe would tag along. The annoying thing was she was terrible at everything but still wanted to try. She complained the water was too cold for swimming, she couldn't keep up while hunting, and digging for wild vegetables was too tiring. She'd be full of excitement on the way out, and on the way back, I'd usually have to carry her. Ethan and Chloe stayed at my house until August. Chloe's family called her numerous times, but she refused to go back. She even missed her final exams. I was genuinely impressed by her stubbornness. She told her family that with a top student like me around, her studies would only improve. Her mom actually believed her and called me, asking me to tutor her properly. Seriously? Wasn't this just making more work for me? If I spent all my time tutoring her, what about my big bro's happiness? Of course, I complained in my head, but I still had to do the tutoring. I was afraid of offending the Reeds, especially after her mom called me personally. Actually, kids from wealthy families like Chloe aren't dumb. She had a good foundation, so teaching her wasn't that hard. Take Ethan, for example. I'd seen his team of private tutors. It was almost impossible for him to get bad grades. And they all grew up speaking at least 3 languages. My only real strength was in test taking for the required subjects. So, I only needed to spend a couple of hours a day tutoring Chloe, and that was enough. In early August, Ethan and Chloe left. Ethan was heading to England. The Jeep he'd driven here, he gave to me. He told me it was just a toy and that I should just take it. He wouldn't be able to use it in England anyway, and it would just collect dust in his garage. He told me not to be a stranger about it. My God, a Wrangler. It cost over 50 grand new, and he'd spent another 40 on modifications. All in, it was a $100,000 vehicle. And in my bro's eyes, it was just a toy. He could just give it away. He was even thoughtful enough to have someone contact me to transfer the title into my name. Chloe's mom wired $20,000 to my account, saying it was for her daughter's living expenses during her stay. I absolutely loved hanging out with rich people. Before they left, I asked Chloe to go dig up some more radishes. She thought I wanted her to feed the goats one last time. She had been feeding them for almost 2 months and had grown attached. It was only right to give them a good feeding before she left. So she happily skipped off with a basket to dig up radishes. By the time she got back, Ethan was starting a fire, and I was already chopping up a rack of lamb. She saw the 2 cute goat heads, now separated from their bodies. Clang! The basket hit the ground. Radishes scattered everywhere. She squatted down and burst into tears. Only then did she realize that the radishes weren't for feeding the goats, but for stewing with them. She cried her heart out. Even Ethan couldn't console her. It made me feel incredibly awkward. We'd bought the goats to be a meal for them. It was just that we'd had so much game meat lately that we hadn't gotten around to it. Now that they were leaving, if we didn't butcher them, there would have been no point in buying them. I tried to suppress a smile and knelt beside her. They've gone to a better place now. Please, don't be too sad. Wah. Chloe was still wailing. Chloe, all good things must come to an end. I know you're in a lot of pain right now, but please don't be so upset. Because they cough. Even though they're gone, they will live on forever in our hearts. They'll be happy over there. I'm sure they wouldn't want to see you so sad. Are you trying to laugh? Chloe lifted her tear-streaked face and looked at me accusingly. No, I'm in great pain right now, I said, shaking my head quickly. Chloe glared at me. Leo Hayes, you're so cold-blooded. Jessica and Fluffy were so cute. How could you do it? You're a heartless butcher. I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive you for the rest of my life. Jessica and Fluffy were the names Chloe had given the 2 goats. I am sorry. Sigh, this Jessica. Chloe roared. Oh, Jessica, and then Fluffy. Chloe, I really know I was wrong. I'll never forget the names Jessica and Fluffy. I will give them the grandest funeral. Chloe stared at me. I will use the radishes you dug with your own hands to bury them with honor. I added, my mouth running away from me. Get away from me. Wah. Chloe scrambled to her feet, pushed me over, and ran to the room she had been sleeping in, slamming the door shut. Leo, I told you not to do it, Ethan said, pointing at me as I sat on the ground. She treated those goats like her babies for 2 months, and you just had to butcher them. Now she'll probably never speak to you again. They were bought to be eaten. What? She feeds them for 2 months, and I'm supposed to let them retire here. I said, exasperated. You couldn't have waited until after we left. Hey, how was I supposed to know she'd react like this? Bro, she's not going to, I said, making a slicing motion across my neck. TSK, get out of here with that. Of course not. Why don't you go prepare Jessica and Fluffy's funeral? I'll go check on her. I looked at Ethan and smiled. My bro was being cheeky. All right, I'll marinate this Jessica for you. You can take it back. Her funeral is in your hands, I said before he could leave. No way. I can take the smoke boar and rabbit, but I'm not touching Jessica. She'd make my life a living hell the whole way back, Ethan said, waving his hands frantically. I stood up and shrugged. Sieg, Fine. Then I shouted toward the house. Chloe, you don't want to attend the service? Hey, stop provoking her. Once we're gone, you'll be fine, but I'm the one who'll have to deal with it, Ethan said, quickly stopping me. I chuckled and went back to dismembering Fluffy. Ethan went to console Chloe. Chapter 7 at noon. A full-on lamb feast was laid out in front of Chloe. She glared at me, her eyes full of resentment. She stubbornly ate only radishes, refusing to touch a single piece of meat. Ethan and I made up an excuse to leave, and we shooed everyone else out with us. Only Grandma and my parents were left at the table. In reality, we were all hiding nearby, spying on them. I even had my phone out, secretly recording. Once we were gone, Grandma picked up a piece of spicy grilled lamb and put it on Chloe's plate. Chloe sniffed it and then, with tears in her eyes, ate it. This girl really had a soft spot for those goats. Then Grandma ladled her a small bowl of fish and lamb soup. Chloe drank it down happily. And then, with all of us watching in secret, Chloe went into a full-on eating frenzy. This girl's emotions came and went like the weather. When she was about finished, we all returned to the table. "Leo Hayes, you cold-blooded demon, what are you filming?" Chloe asked, her mouth greasy, pointing at me. I knew she wouldn't be able to resist. I had started recording as soon as I left the table. Just in case she tried to blame me for it later, I'd have evidence. Just making a memory. "Hey, what happened to all the lamb chops and dumplings?" I asked, looking at the table with feigned confusion. Chloe immediately tensed up and looked down, not daring to say a word. Grandma smiled and quickly stepped in to smooth things over, saying that she and my parents had eaten them. Seeing Chloe's ears turn bright red, I didn't tease her anymore. After the meal, I packed up some of the lamb for them to eat on the road. Chloe sat silently in the passenger seat, not saying a word. A few days later, Ethan left for England. I got into the top university in the country and headed north to Boston. When I left home, Grandma told me to contact Chloe less and to keep my distance. I didn't understand why. Of course, I hadn't planned on contacting her anyway. She was my big bro's girl. I had to stay away. In the past month, we hadn't exchanged a single text, let alone a phone call. But why would Grandma say that? Grandma said Chloe liked me. What? She hated my guts. How could she possibly like me? Grandma told me in a serious tone that she could tell whether someone was in love or not. Right now, she's just angry. When she gets over it, she'll definitely come looking for you. Leo, they say it's a mountain for a man to chase a woman, but only a thin veil for a woman to chase a man. And she's beautiful and rich. I'm not against you two being together, but you have to understand the class difference between our families is enormous. The gap in our families, our relatives, our upbringing, these are obstacles that will be very difficult to overcome. Love and understanding aren't enough to bridge that. I know Grandma, don't worry. She just likes messing with me. There's no way we could be together. Ethan told me back in sophomore year that their families have been close for generations, and they've been engaged since they were kids. Everyone at school knows. Oh, well, that's good then. Leo, you're handsome, you're smart, and you're very capable. You'll meet many wonderful girls out there. But you must remember, don't try to climb too high. Find someone whose economic status is similar to your own. Don't be greedy, and don't expect a partner to change your life. I know. If her family is too rich and powerful, I'll always be the one in the inferior position. Even if we try to ignore it, the gap is still there, and outside factors will constantly interfere. Over time, that kind of relationship becomes incredibly stressful and sensitive. You start overreacting to small things, become stubborn, and refuse to accept kindness because you see it as charity. That resentment builds up, and one day it will explode. At best, it ends in divorce. At worst, depression or even tragedy. Grandma, I get it. I take everything you say to heart. Don't be impatient. You didn't have a mother or father to teach you these things. I'm old and haven't seen much of the world, so what I'm saying might not be entirely correct. But I'm telling you this so that when you face these things, you'll have something to guide your decisions. I went over and hugged my grandma, kissing her on the forehead. I know, Grandma. Don't worry. Besides, I'm not planning on finding a girlfriend right now. Grandma pushed me away and poked my forehead, pretending to be annoyed. You're already 20. I'm anxious to hold a great grandchild. Hurry up and find someone in college. Get married after you graduate. Don't make me go to join your grandpa without knowing how to explain myself to him. Grandma, what are you talking about? You're as healthy as can be. You'll live another 100 years, no problem. Then I'd be an old witch. I immediately dropped to one knee and bowed. Your grandson pays his respects. It was a silly reference to an old fairy tale movie. Grandma saw it and laughingly scolded me. The day before I left, Chloe sent me a message asking about my college enrollment and if I needed any help. I looked at her message with a headache. Could Grandma be right? Does she really like me? but I thought it was impossible. What was there to like about me? A disabled dad, a mentally ill mom, a dirt-poor me, and an elderly grandma? If she married me, she'd become a laughingstock in her social circle. Plus, she was engaged to Ethan. My big bro had taken such good care of me. How could I steal his woman? Impossible. I couldn't do something like that. So, I didn't reply to Chloe's message. Before I left, I gave some money to my older cousin, asking him and his wife to look after my grandma and parents. I told Grandma that as soon as I was settled in Boston, I'd come back for them. She just smiled and nodded. After I started college, I was swamped. Ethan's father thought highly of me and asked me to run an office for him in Boston, acting as a liaison. I knew he was aware of my family situation. He was giving me this part-time job to give me some experience and allow me to earn a steady salary. On top of that, I was starting my own research into the field of drones. Why drones? It was all because of an idea Ethan had while we were hunting. He'd said if we had a small, unmanned helicopter that could remotely target prey, we wouldn't have to run all over the mountains. So I wanted to build one. There were remote control planes on the market, but their functions were very basic, no different from kids' toys. Chloe's messages became more and more frequent, but I never replied to a single one. Looking at her increasingly heated texts, I had a feeling she was about to call me. I immediately turned off my phone, canceled the number, and registered for a new one in Boston. I was so cautious that I didn't even tell Ethan. He was overseas anyway, and we usually just communicated by email. I did, however, inform the manager at Cole Corporation headquarters who I reported to. It didn't matter if Ethan's dad had my new number. He was the chairman. He wouldn't be personally involved in something as minor as a liaison's contact info. Besides, the company's administration was handled by the CEO, not him. I just had to make sure to visit him when I was back in town to maintain the relationship. As for my high school classmates, besides Ethan, did I even have any? Chapter 8 in the second semester of my freshman year, I submitted a research proposal to the university for a drone project. Ethan was also very busy these past 2 years, and we didn't communicate much. It was strange, though. As soon as winter or summer break started, his emails would become much more frequent, full of random gossip. He was always asking if there were any pretty girls at my university. He'd ask if I liked anyone, if any girls were pursuing me, if I was getting any love letters. They say Europeans are open-minded, but I never expected Ethan to be so thoroughly converted after just half a year in England. The composed, calm Ethan I knew was gone. But my big bro had questions, and, as his little bro, it was my duty to answer. And it was true, a lot of girls like me. I've been getting secret love letters since my freshman year. After all, I'd spent 3 years with a true heir like Ethan. I knew how to handle myself, and I drove a Wrangler. Of course, the most important thing was that they didn't know about my family background or my past in high school. Now, with my clothes, my car, my worldliness, and my internship, everything about me screamed privileged background. So in their eyes, I was a man worth entrusting their lives to. When I had time, I told Ethan everything in great detail. I even faxed him the love letters I received. He told me that college romances were unreliable, that graduation season was breakup season, and he gave me a ton of examples. I thought he was right and completely agreed with his point of view. I also told him I was too busy to date because I was focused on developing an unmanned aerial vehicle. As for the love letters, I just read them and never replied. I did, however, save some of the best lines to use if I ever had to write a love letter myself. In my sophomore year, Ethan suddenly showed up at my university. He was extremely interested after seeing my drone research data and the prototype models. He even brought his dad and Chloe's dad to inspect the project. His dad invested $500,000 in me. He also personally helped me establish it as an official research project at the university. With capital backing, we brought in a lot of professors who were experts in the field, and the technology advanced by leaps and bounds. The drone could now hover automatically without manual control and was equipped with a camera. The only problem was that each unit cost $5,000 to produce. Very few people bought them. We sold less than 20 a month. At the start of my junior year, I saw Chloe at the freshman welcome party. I was confused. Shouldn't she have started college last year? I didn't know if she had repeated a year or taken a gap year. But she was still impressive, managing to get into a place like this, filled with geniuses. I didn't pay her much attention. In the second semester of my junior year, Ethan's dad invested another $2.5 million. He also registered a company and a trademark for me. As an investor, he took 30% of the shares. As the founder, I held 70%. This was a pretty standard arrangement. The Coles didn't take advantage of me just because I had no power or connections. And all the current technology had been developed with the initial $500,000 from his dad. Without it, at my current pace, it would have taken me at least another 3 to 5 years. Most importantly, with the backing of a major investor like the Coles, I wouldn't need to seek further funding and bring in new partners down the line. I had real control over my 70% without worrying about dilution. If we ever went public, I wouldn't get kicked out. There was a little twist. When I saw the list of actual investors, I found it wasn't Ethan's dad, but Ethan and Chloe. It stated that Ethan invested $2 million for a 20% stake, and Chloe invested $1 million for a 10% stake. But thinking about the relationship between the Cole and Reed families, it made sense. And Chloe wasn't an outsider. Ethan's dad only had one requirement for me: upgrade the product and lower the cost. He and the Reeds would handle sales and marketing. Wow. Suddenly, I felt like I'd given away that 30% for too little, haha. I never expected Chloe to become one of my benefactors, too. But in my eyes, she and Ethan were a single unit. They were destined to be married. So, while on paper there were two investors, to me, it was just one person, my big bro, Ethan. During the summer break of my junior year, Ethan invited me to England. He had found several top experts in the drone field and hoped I would bring my team over to learn about intelligent flight control chips. To lower the cost, we had to innovate on the flight control chip. But this kind of technology couldn't be solved just by throwing money at it. So, I immediately flew over with my team, planning for a month-long exchange. I was surprised when I arrived in England. It wasn't just Ethan who came to pick me up at the airport. Chloe was there too. Chloe immediately tried to take the rolling suitcase I was pushing. I subtly switched the suitcase to my other hand, deftly avoiding her. Then I reached out with my free hand and gave Ethan a warm hug. After that, I just gave Chloe a goofy smile. Then I started chatting with Ethan. As we walked, I deliberately kept a distance from Chloe, always making sure Ethan was between us. Suddenly, Chloe looked like she wanted to eat me alive. I was so confused. What's our relationship? Why are you suddenly acting so familiar? Especially since we're at the same school. What would this make my big bro think of me? I suddenly had the urge to fire back at her. Are you feeling bold again just because Ethan's here? That would have been a roundabout way of clarifying our relationship. But in the end, I held my tongue. In the years since she'd been at the university, we had barely spoken. When we did run into each other, I'd just give her a nod and a slight smile. Sometimes she'd respond, sometimes she wouldn't. And I was really busy at school. I didn't even have time to go home for winter or summer break. I only had time for a rush trip back for the new year to see my grandma and parents, visit my grandpa's grave, and pay a visit to Ethan's parents before rushing back to campus. Plus, Ethan wasn't around, and with Grandma's warning that Chloe liked me, I was even more determined to keep my distance. Ethan took our team to a grand, elegant villa. His dad had bought it for him before he came to England. It had a huge garden, a massive living room, and at least 10 bedrooms. It was also very close to the city center, right on the Thames. I guess the house must have cost a fortune. Only a family like Ethan's could afford it. I also noticed that not only did Chloe have a room here, but her things were everywhere. I figured they must be living together. Honestly, I was a little envious of them. Not only were they childhood sweethearts from perfectly matched families, but their love story went from the schoolyard to the altar. Their social circles overlapped so much, and there was a deep trust between them. No room for suspicion. Chapter 9. For the next few days, we spent most of our time at Ethan's university. What annoyed me was that Chloe was always sticking by my side. Big bro was right there. How was I supposed to deal with that? And the more I tried to avoid her, the more blatant she became. It was making me really nervous. Finally, Chloe did a complete 180 and started targeting me at every turn. The villa had a maid, but every evening when we got back, she would order me to do this and that, even making me wash her clothes. She had no regard for my reputation in front of my teammates. And once, when I was in the bathroom, she actually barged in and took the toilet paper. Wow. Not only was she shameless, she was outrageous. It got to the point where I had to lock the door, not just when I used the toilet, but even when I showered. I was terrified she'd burst in while I was showering and take all my toiletries and clothes. Dude, Ethan, aren't you going to do something about her? I was taking a crap, and she ran in and stole my toilet paper. I was literally in the middle of it. I finally couldn't take it anymore and pulled Ethan into an empty meeting room. Look, man, why are you always avoiding her? When you started college, she sent you all those messages and you never replied, Ethan said, looking awkward and helpless. I stared at Ethan, bewildered. Bro, what are you trying to say? She's your wife. If I don't avoid her, do you want me to hug her? Of course, I didn't dare say that out loud. So I explained, I changed my phone number, and she's a girl. I didn't know what I'd even say to her. You could have told her, whether you contact her is one thing, but whether she contacts you is another, Ethan complained. I felt like Ethan was just too naive when it came to relationships. Good thing my principle as a brother was to never make a move on my bro's girl. Me and her, I say hi to her at school, I said. I felt we needed to change the subject. Bro, you have to talk to her for me. She's going to drive me crazy. Leo, do you really not see it? Ethan asked, exasperated. See what? All I see is that I butchered her beloved Jessica and Fluffy, and now, 3 years later, she's roped you into getting revenge on me. You're unbelievable, Sai. She told me not to say anything. Just figure out yourselves. I can't control her. I knew it. Since you can't control Chloe, I'm just going to stay in your dorm. If this keeps up, I'm seriously afraid she's going to barge in while I'm showering one day. I felt it was necessary to file a report with my bro. Just in case it actually happened, I didn't want to have to explain myself to him. After all, Chloe was his future wife. If his wife barged into his brother's bathroom, I wouldn't know how to explain it. I really can't control her. And you can't stay in my dorm. If she finds out, she'll come after me, Ethan said, looking troubled. Then how about this? Rent me an apartment nearby. I'm not staying here. I'm really not staying here anymore, I pleaded. Leo Hayes, you think I care about you? Let me tell you, I have hated you from the very beginning. I've always hated you. Chloe's voice yelled from behind us. Holy crap, this girl appears out of nowhere. Chloe, I swear I haven't done anything to offend you these last 3 years. Why are you doing this to me? I'm using the toilet, and you, a girl, barge in and steal my toilet paper. If word gets out, what's going to happen to your reputation? I said, a hint of a threat in my voice, hoping to make her back off. So what? Aren't you the one who likes to pretend you don't know me? Just act like you do at school. Pretend you don't see me, Chloe said, batting her eyelashes and completely ignoring the point I was making, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. How is that the same thing? And do you have any idea how beautiful you are? If we're seen together too much, people will get the wrong idea. A little flattery never hurts. I tried to butter her up before explaining, since I didn't want to completely ruin my relationship with her. The wrong idea? You think you're so great? Great enough that people would think I'm with you? No. The truth is, your circle is just too low class. Wow, that actually got to me. Great enough that people would think she was with me? How could she even say something like that? I took a deep breath and let it out. You're right. I'm definitely not good enough for someone as amazing as you. Bro, you know that Miss Alibaba, what's her name? The one who's really cute and comes from a good family? She's asked me out a few times. I think I'll give it a shot when I get back. Who knows? If it works out, my net worth could shoot up by $100 billion. I made sure to emphasize $100 billion. Her family might be worth billions, but not in US dollars. I could see the rage building in Chloe's eyes. She ran over and kicked me. Leo Hayes, I'm telling you, I have hated you from the very beginning. I've always hated you. That kick actually hurt. I meekly asked, so I should go, Fina. Then pay me back. $30 million. I'm pulling my investment, Chloe said, holding out her hand. I forgot about the pain. I just stared at her, dumbfounded. How do we get to pulling investments? Pay up, she said, pushing me onto the sofa. She leaned over me, one hand grabbing my collar, the other palm open and practically in my face. I looked at Ethan helplessly. My look had two meanings. One, this was getting a little intimate, but I was the victim here. Two, of course, was a plea for help. Ethan glanced at me, then calmly took out his phone. Oh, why is it on silent? He put the phone to his ear. Hello? What? Oh, okay. I'm coming. He walked out of the room while still talking and then disappeared. Holy crap. For the first time, I thought my big bro was a total coward. His wife was practically climbing on top of another man, and he just pretended not to see? Since he was useless, I had to save myself. Chloe, the 30 million is already registered capital. According to corporate law, shareholders can't just withdraw their investment. That's considered a legal withdrawal of capital. It's against the law. If I don't care, I'll pull my investment even if it's illegal, she said, still looming over me. You could go to jail for that. I'll go to jail then. It's your fault for always bullying me. I have not. Well, have I ever bullied you? You did. You killed my Jack and Dodo. Huh? Weren't they Jessica and Fluffy? Ow. Before I could finish, Chloe pinched me hard on the chest. I renamed them. They're Jack and Dodo. You butchered them. I'm going to get revenge. Pay me back now, or you're dead, she said, glaring at me. She couldn't even remember the goats' names, and she was talking about revenge? She was clearly just looking for trouble, and pulling her investment was out of the question. Neither the Coles nor the Reeds would ever do that. It was illegal. But this princess was determined to make a scene, and I had to find a way to calm her down. Even if I told her dad, he would just tell me to find a way to appease her. It was gonna land back on me either way, so I might as well handle it myself. Fine, I said with a sigh. Tell me what you want me to do to make you stop. Hee, you said it. Chloe's fierce expression instantly vanished, replaced by a joyful grin. Yeah, I said it. Just name your terms. I'll agree to anything, I said, pushing her off me. She stood up straight. I want you to be my gopher at school. What? Miss Reed, don't mess with me. I'm a very busy man, I said, rejecting her immediately. Chloe crossed her arms and pouted. I don't care. Then pull your investment, I said, slumping onto the sofa in defeat. She was so persistent. If I became her gopher, how would I ever get any research done? Pulling her investment would just mean it would take longer to develop the product. Being her gopher would be like stopping my research altogether. You? Chloe was furious. She lunged at me, straddling me and about to hit me. Wow, this woman was savage and violent. And she had no sense of boundaries, climbing on top of a man without a thought for her image. I really couldn't imagine what life would be like for Ethan after he married her. Sigh. Utter chaos were the only two words that came to mind. Chapter 10, I grabbed her, flipped her over, and pinned her to the sofa, holding her hands down and using my knee to keep her in place. Leo Hayes, you're dead. Let me go. Chloe yelled, still struggling under me. I agree to be your gopher during all my time outside of work and sleep, I said. Fine, but I get to decide when you sleep. No way. I need to get enough sleep, or I won't have the energy for my work. Then you'll just work and sleep. What's the point of you being my gopher then? Weekends. I'll be your gopher all day on weekends. Isn't that enough? Chloe thought for a moment. Every weekend? Yes. Okay, deal. Now let me go. I let her go. She happily found a piece of paper and a pen and wanted me to sign a contract. If I broke it, I'd have to pay her 30 million. I watched her with a blank expression as she thought and wrote. Damn it, I was so angry. Look at this crap she was writing. Due to the Party A's work commitments, Party B will take this into consideration and will not interfere with Party A's work, and will ensure Party A gets at least 8 hours of sleep per day. However, all time outside of work must be at the disposal of Party B. Weekends and holidays must be spent entirely with Party B. Party A shall not use making money or being busy with work as an excuse to not actively contact Party B. Regardless of location, Party A must actively check in with Party B every morning, noon, and night, via phone call, text message, or other messaging apps. Party A must remember Party B's birthday, as well as all of Party B's hobbies and habits. Party A must unconditionally respect, care for, and look after Party B. When Party B needs Party A must be there unless there are special circumstances. If Party A has special circumstances, he must inform Party B of the reason. If Party B does not agree, Party A must find a way to compromise. If a compromise cannot be reached, or if Party B is not satisfied, Party A must compensate Party B doubly. Chloe wrote for over half an hour, adding clauses as she thought of them. I secretly took a picture of what she was writing and sent it to Ethan with a message. Bro, come save me. She's making me sign a slavery contract. A long time passed, and Ethan didn't reply. I sent another message. Get here now. Suddenly, a red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. He blocked me? Holy crap. At that moment, Chloe added the final clause to the contract. Party B may add to or amend this agreement at any time. How was this any different from a slavery contract? I flew all the way across the ocean just to sign this? It might not affect my studies or my work, but all my free time was now hers to control. And with that last clause, what if she changed the contract after I signed it? I took the pen, crossed out the last clause, and told her I'd sign if she agreed. If not, I wasn't going to play along anymore. Seeing my "I've got nothing to lose" attitude, Chloe finally relented. I had planned to confront Ethan when he got back that night, to ask him why he was so disloyal. But I never saw him again after that. He didn't answer his phone either. Fortunately, we had been working with the experts for a while and were familiar with the lab, so his absence didn't affect us much. As for Chloe, the torment I had imagined never came. In fact, ever since I signed the contract, she stopped targeting me. Strange. Was it because I wasn't deliberately avoiding her anymore? If I had known, you should have just said so. Now I've signed this stupid contract and have a $30 million chain around my neck. I regret everything. For the last 3 days before we returned home, our exchange was pretty much wrapped up. I took the team and Chloe on a tour of England. I also bought gifts for the university administrators. On the day we left, Ethan finally showed up. I gave him a haughty look. He knew he was in the wrong and didn't say much, just asked me to take care of Chloe at school. I grabbed his phone, unblocked myself, and sent him the slavery contract I had signed for Chloe. He whispered to me, "Don't worry, I've got you back." "Yeah, right. I trust you as far as I can throw you," I retorted, then turned and walked toward the security checkpoint without a backward glance, giving him a lazy wave. When I got back, I went home for about a week. I had to return to school before the semester started. I wasn't just a student, I was also the student body president. Besides my studies and research, I had a lot of responsibilities. I was incredibly busy. A lot of girls pursued me, but I genuinely didn't have time for romance. Sophia Miller, a fellow student and the head of the student council secretariat, had been after me for 2 years. She was the prettiest of all my admirers. She could sing, she could dance, she was a smooth talker, and on top of that, she was not only smart, but also had incredible organizational skills. She was a natural-born secretary. She helped me with a lot of the student council work, taking a huge load off my shoulders. To be honest, I didn't need to be the president. But I knew the value of being the student body president of the top university in the country. I also knew the power and connections of the professors and faculty here. So, I had to be president, even if it was hell. The Coles had a hand in me becoming president. I had been the liaison for the Cole Corporation's Boston office since my freshman year, and a lot of people at school knew about it. My university was different from others. Many students started internships in their freshman or sophomore year. This was all on record at the school. I was just a little more impressive than everyone else. Not only was my internship with a top corporation, but I was also the head of an office, which was equivalent to a deputy manager with an annual salary of nearly $200,000. And when Ethan's dad helped me apply for the drone research project, he even showed up to support me. Coupled with my own achievements, it was no surprise that I became the student body president in my junior year. Chapter 11, when I got back to campus, I didn't go straight to my dorm. Instead, I took the gifts I'd bought and visited all the senior administrators at the university. These gifts cost me a few $100s, but it was all expense to the company account. I was busy until evening. I was planning to go back to my dorm and just have some instant noodles for dinner, but on my way, I passed the student council office and saw Sophia Miller working there. "Hey, Sophia," I said. I knew she was back early too, and working this late meant she was probably helping me organize my work, just like she always did. All I'd have to do is look at the little notebook she prepared, and I'd be able to delegate everything easily. She would summarize everything in the most concise way possible in that notebook. If I had any questions, I could just look up the corresponding number in the original documents. This secretary was a real godsend. It reminded me of that old saying, when there's work to do, you use your secretary. When there's no work to do, ahem. Now, Sophia looked up and saw me. She jumped up excitedly, ran over to me, and held out her hands, batting her eyelashes. My heart sank. I had told her I'd bring her a gift back from England. But I'd been so focused on the administrators that I had completely forgotten about her. Haha, I didn't know you'd be here. I don't have it on me. I lied, planning to go buy her something first thing in the morning. Wow, you really got me a gift. Let's go, I want it now, Sophia said, her voice filled with a disbelief that made me feel even guilty. She practically danced as she took my arm and started pulling me out of the office. Holy crap, I let her drag me to the parking lot. I opened the trunk and rummaged around, then pulled out a Parker fountain pen that Chloe had given me and handed it to her. The pen was in a beautiful wooden box. I never opened it, but you could tell from the packaging that it was worth at least $1,000, especially since it was from Chloe. Sophia took the gift box, her excitement palpable. She opened it right in front of me, took out the pen, and examined it carefully. Then she read the inscription aloud. May your words be like the gentle breeze, and may you always be safe and at peace. Huh, there was an inscription? I quickly glanced at the pen in her hand. Luckily, there was no name on it, or that would have been really embarrassing. Thank you, Sophia said, cradling the pen, her eyes crinkling with a smile. I smiled back. You deserve it. Come on, let's get something to eat. She really did deserve it. I was even thinking that if she was willing to stay at the university, I'd hire her as an assistant for my project. But her major wasn't a good fit. It would be a waste of her talent to just be an assistant. This secretary was just too good. Okay, she said obediently. After I closed the trunk and got into the driver's seat, she got in the passenger seat, still holding the gift box. Then, she took out a pair of exquisite wooden charms from her bag and carefully hung them from my rearview mirror. As she hung them, she said, "This is my gift to you in return. They're good luck and safety charms that I made myself." I inlaid the silver threads one by one and polished them hundreds of times. Look at my hands. She held out one of her hands for me to see. Ouch. There were a lot of small cuts. I was touched. After I finished them, I stood in line at a temple all night to get the first incense of the day and had the head monk bless them. "Don't you ever take them down?" she instructed. "Wow, thank you so much. This is really touching," I said, feeling a little awkward. "Ah, it fell." Sophia suddenly gasped. The charm in her other hand had dropped. I leaned over to help her pick it up. She took the opportunity to throw her arms around my neck and kiss me on the mouth. Damn it, I just got kissed by a girl. Holy crap, tongue, saliva. Gross. My gag reflex kicked in, and I shoved Sophia away. I quickly grabbed a tissue, spat, and wiped my mouth, then found a bottle of water to rinse it out. I'm very particular about these things. Sophia just stared at me, looking dazed. After a moment, I remembered the beautiful girl in the passenger seat. I felt awkward. It wasn't that I was disgusted by her. I was just disgusted by saliva in general. "You're disgusted by me?" Sophia asked, her face filled with hurt. It's just, kissing is fine, but don't use your tongue. There's so much saliva," I explained, my tone almost complaining. "You're afraid of my saliva?" "Of course. Who isn't afraid of other people's saliva?" I said, frowning at her. "Hell, what the hell?" Sophia's brain clearly short-circuited. She just stared at me, dumbfounded. After a long pause, she also awkwardly took out a tissue and wiped her mouth, as if she'd be looked down upon if she didn't. "I knew you were a clueless guy, but I had no idea you were this dense. No wonder you always threw away the drinks I offered you after I'd taken a sip. You were grossed out by my saliva," Sophia said, her voice rising in frustration after she had wiped her mouth. She even started swearing. "It's saliva. Don't you think it's gross?" I asked again, still frowning. It was how I truly felt. "You don't think it's gross if it's someone you like?" "Well, I can't do that. I even break off a piece of food my grandma has eaten before I eat it." Sophia looked at me, her face a mask of hurt and disbelief. I looked back at her, my expression as determined as someone about to swear an oath. This was a non-negotiable principle for me, just in case she tried another disgusting surprise attack. After 3 minutes of silent staring, Sophia looked away. "Leo, let's be in a relationship," she said, looking straight ahead. "No," I said without a moment's hesitation. Sophia turned to look at me again. "Are you not happy with me? Do you not think I'm pretty enough?" "No, I'm very happy with you. And I think you're very pretty. Then why won't you date me?" "It's too much trouble." "You think I'm trouble?" "No, I don't think you're trouble. I just think we'll have to break up when we graduate, and that's too much trouble. It's better not to start. We only have 1 year left. We should be spending that time studying and doing something meaningful. Why waste it on dating? It's a total waste of time. Grandma wanted me to find a girlfriend in college and get married right after graduation. But I had told her about the whole graduation season is breakup season thing, and she had agreed with me. Sophia looked at me strangely. Why do you have to break up when you graduate? That's what everyone says. You don't know that? I don't know that. Graduation season is breakup season. Almost all my roommates are dating, and this thing. I launched into a long explanation of why people break up after graduation. And another thing you don't know is that dating itself is incredibly troublesome. You have to consider the other person's feelings, spend time talking, check in every morning, noon, and night, remember holidays and birthdays, pick out gifts. You have to. As I was talking, I suddenly remembered Chloe's contract. A wave of despair washed over me, and I almost felt like crying. I was already doing all of those things, sending those meaningless check-in messages every single day. And Chloe didn't even always reply. Damn it. If you really want to date someone, you should just date someone else. I have a lot on my plate right now, and no time for it. Maybe later, when I have more time, if you still want to date me, we can see. We can talk about it, I said, feeling frustrated but not wanting to offend her. After all, she was such a good right-hand woman. It wouldn't be good if things got weird between us because of this. What? Sophia looked at me like I was a monster. This is the best option right now. We know each other well enough to be honest. Don't be shy. We can always talk things over. Talk my ass over, Sophia said. She picked up the 2 wooden charms she had gotten blessed and threw them at me, then got out of the car in a huff. The car door slammed with a loud bang. Hey, aren't we getting dinner? I quickly rolled down the window and yelled after her. Not hungry. You've made me sick, she said without turning back. Work is work. Don't let this affect your work. If you get lost. Sophia threw back one word and ran off. I watched her run away and sighed, finishing my sentence to myself. If you really must date me, we can only do it in our spare time, just to see what it's like. I picked up the 2 wooden charms and hung them back up. Oh well, dating was a hassle anyway. The things in Chloe's contract were probably even more demanding than a real relationship. In high school, I had to serve 2 masters while trying to study. It was miserable. Now, I had to serve 2 masters again and do research on top of that. Wow, I really didn't want to go through that again. Chapter 12, I was incredibly busy before the semester started, summarizing everything I learned in England and holding meetings every day to discuss our research. Once the semester began, I was even busier. The student council had a ton of things to do. Fortunately, Sophia didn't hold a grudge against me. She continued to handle my student council responsibilities as if they were her own. This allowed me to focus completely on developing the new drone. I had gained a lot from my trip to England and had found a new direction for my research. I decided to change our current single-rotor helicopter design to a quadcopter structure. Quadcopters were simpler, easier to manufacture, more stable in flight, and much more reliable. Most importantly, the mechanical structure was simple, which meant lower production costs and better product consistency. With a new direction, the goals were clear. During this time, I practically lived in the lab, working on the design. There were fewer classes in senior year, mostly electives. Most seniors were busy with internships or traveling with their advisors, or like me, holed up in a lab. Very few were actually on campus. I had been working for the coal corporation since I was a freshman, so I didn't need another internship. Plus, I had my own company and my own project. My term as student body president was also over. I was just staying on until the new president was elected after the welcome week activities. Once the new president was in place, I'd hand things over and be done with it. Then I wouldn't have to trouble Sophia anymore. As for Chloe, I had gotten into the habit of sending my 3 daily check-in messages at set times. No matter how busy I was, I never missed one. Of course, what I really hoped for was that she wouldn't reply. After the welcome week party, the student council elections began. After the elections, the student council organized a farewell party for the old and new members. Sophia called and urged me to go, so I had to stop what I was doing, pick up Chloe, and head to the hotel. Chloe had also joined the student council this year, but for the past 2 days, she had been in a terrible mood for some reason. She'd get angry if my text was a few seconds late, and now that we were together, she was constantly picking fights. I asked her what was wrong, but she wouldn't say. At the party, after the new president and I gave our speeches, Sophia was the last one to go on stage. And when she did, she announced to everyone that she and I were dating. Holy crap, a unilateral announcement. The farewell party had just started, and we were already at the climax. I was, after all, the most outstanding and well-connected student in our year. For my relationship status to be suddenly revealed, you can imagine how explosive the news was. Sophia came down, took my hand, and led me back on stage. She kissed me on the cheek in front of everyone. I didn't resist. I didn't dislike her. As long as she didn't get any saliva on my face, it was fine. She brought her face close to mine, signaling for me to kiss her. The crowd started cheering. I gave her a quick peck. Dating her might actually be okay. The crowd kept cheering, saying it didn't count, that we had a kiss on the lips. Sigh. I was trapped. With a heavy heart, I kissed her on the lips. I was terrified she would use her tongue. Fortunately, she didn't. And just like that, our relationship was official. I actually liked Sophia. She was pretty, incredibly competent, and very responsible. Working with her for the past year had been a pleasure. If we didn't break up after graduation, she would make a great wife. She wasn't from the countryside, but from a small town. Her family was a little better off than mine, but my family owned land, so we were a decent match. And she was really hard-working and diligent. I thought that with her, I'd have a lot less to worry about, both at home and at work. Chloe just stared at me with a blank expression. I knew she had been in a bad mood these past couple of days. After the excitement died down, I led Sophia back to our table. Chloe asked me in a low voice, "When did this happen?" I thought for a moment. The day I got back to school, I guess. Why do you say I guess? Chloe pressed. We kissed that day. Chloe didn't say anything else. Sophia didn't ask me who she was. I figured she probably knew her from the student council. She just linked her arm with mine and raised her glass to toast Chloe. Chloe ignored her, so I drank it for her. Even though they were both from wealthy families, Chloe was lacking in many ways compared to Ethan. That was my honest opinion. Then people started coming over to toast me and Sophia, treating us like we were already married. I don't know when Chloe left. I had had a lot to drink, so I didn't notice. After dinner, there was a second round of karaoke. By the end, I was completely wasted. Sophia got a room and had a few of the guys help me into it. But even though I was drunk, I insisted on going back to my dorm. Sophia didn't listen. She just told me we were already at the dorm. I could tell we weren't. We're a couple now. Are you afraid I'm going to eat you if you sleep with me? Sophia said, a little annoyed, as she wiped my face with a towel. My grandma said men and women should keep their distance. It's proper. I slurred, my eyes closed. I fumbled for my phone and dialed a number. I still hadn't sent my evening check-in to Chloe. Even though I was wasted, I hadn't forgotten. It wasn't because I was afraid of losing $30 million, but because I have a strong sense of commitment. Of course, in my state, I couldn't type, so I just called her. At that moment, the kettle boiled. Sophia got up to rinse a cup and make me a large mug of strong tea. Leo, we're a couple. Couples can sleep together, she said as she made the tea at a small table. No, we're not married yet, so we can't sleep together. My grandma said that both men and women should save themselves for their wedding night. That is the purest promise and vow of love. That kind of pure and chaste love is the most beautiful, the most desirable, and it is sacred and inviolable. As I was talking, I felt like I was going to throw up. I quickly dropped my phone, leaned over the side of the bed, and grabbed the trash can. It was a while before Sophia came over to help me. After she had cleaned me up, she took the bag with my vomit out of the room. A few minutes later, she came back and put a new bag in the trash can. Then she said, "The tea in the cup is hot. If you want to drink something now, drink the bottled water. I'm going to go. The school gates are going to be locked soon. Call me if you need anything. I'll bring you breakfast in the morning." "Okay, thanks," I replied. "Oomph. I can't be bothered with a prude like you," Sophia said, and then she left. After Sophia left, I was drifting in and out of sleep when I felt a cool sensation on my body, as if someone was wiping me down to cool me off. I thought I was dreaming. Chapter 13 in the morning, my mouth was dry, and I woke up wanting to get some water. I felt an octopus wrapped around me. Didn't Sophia leave last night? Why was she back? Sigh. I had made it very clear last night that I didn't want to have sex before marriage. It was about being responsible for both of us. And I really believed what my grandma said. It was a sign of respect for the marriage. Who knows if the person you're with now is the person you'll marry? I thought that when she woke up, I would have to explain it to her again. I'm a man, after all. If she kept this up, I didn't know if I could control myself. I gently tried to pry her off me so I could get up, but she was holding on tight. The moment I touched her hand, she reflexively tightened her grip. I sighed and carefully unwrapped her arms. She rolled over onto her back. Holy crap, Chloe? It was Chloe? What the hell? How was it Chloe? In an instant, my soul just about left my body. I'm dead. I'm so dead. I'm dead. How am I going to explain this to Ethan? I quietly got out of bed and saw that I was wearing hotel pajamas, not my own clothes from yesterday. I wanted to cry. The dream I had last night about someone wiping me down, it must have been her. I quickly looked around for my clothes. Not there. Bathroom? Nope. Under the bed? Nope. Holy crap, where are my clothes? Lady, are you trying to kill me? Chloe slowly woke up, pulled the covers over her head, and peeked at me with two innocent eyes. What the hell was that look supposed to mean? You tell me why you are here, I whispered, not wanting to beat around the bush with this crazy person. Your girlfriend left you here all alone. I was worried about you. Who knew? Who knew what? You tell me how you found me. I cut her off, not wanting to hear any of her excuses. Leo Hayes, you're yelling at me. Let me tell you, you're so dead today, Chloe said, throwing off the covers and sitting up, pointing a finger at me fiercely. She was also wearing pajamas and nothing underneath. Her top had slipped, revealing more than she intended. I quickly turned my head away. She suddenly realized her state of undress. Her face flushed red, and she quickly lay back down, pulling the covers up to her chin. I remembered calling her last night, but the call didn't go through. I picked up my phone from a nightstand and checked the call log. The call had lasted almost an hour. I think I figured it out. I'd called her last night, and she must have picked up instantly, which is why I didn't hear a ringing tone and thought the call hadn't connected. Then I threw up and forgot about it. So she had heard my entire conversation with Sophia. Finding my room wouldn't have been hard. There were a lot of students there yesterday, and I wasn't the only one who got drunk. Many of them had gotten rooms here. All she had to do was ask around. As for how she got into the room, that would be no problem for her. She was going to be the death of me. I stood by the bed, looking at Chloe peeking out from under the covers, and I felt like dying. Chloe, you're a psycho, I whispered miserably. I took care of you all night, and you call me names? You're dead. Chloe sat up again, grabbed a pillow, and threw it at me. Then she quickly pulled the covers back up to her chest. Keep your voice down. Thank you for last night. Now please get up, get dressed, and leave. I'm begging you, my lady, I said, catching the pillow and tossing it on the sofa. I didn't know when Sophia would be back with breakfast, and there were a lot of other student council members staying on this floor. No, Sophia is coming with breakfast. If she sees you, there will be a misunderstanding. And if this blows up, it's going to be ugly. Misunderstanding about what? You took advantage of me last night. You're not going to take responsibility? Chloe said, stammering and blushing. I was furious. That's not a joke you can make. We're adults. We should know what jokes are okay and what aren't. This was my bottom line. You player. You yelled at me twice, and now you're trying to get dressed and walk away. Chloe demanded, her voice fierce. My lady, we are both highly educated people. Alcohol suppresses the central nervous system. When you're completely drunk, it doesn't arouse you. It hinders the transmission of sexual impulses. I was so drunk I couldn't even get it up. How could I have taken advantage of you? Now please, get up and leave. You can mess with me however you want later. Just don't make these kinds of jokes, I pleaded. I knew Chloe. We had bickered for so long in high school. She was the type who fought fire with fire. As expected, Chloe's bravado deflated. Well, you still slept with me, she said, her voice much quieter. I've never slept in the same bed with any man before. You slept with me, so you have to take responsibility. I didn't reply. I just stared at her. Chloe started to feel uneasy under my gaze and lay back down. She hid under the covers, peeking at me with just her eyes. Damn it, she was playing the innocent victim again. Chloe, tell me, what did I ever do to you? Stealing my toilet paper was one thing, but now you're brave enough to climb into a man's bed? Are you really willing to throw away your reputation just to mess with me? I demanded. You gave the pen I gave you to someone else. TSK. I'm sorry. There was a reason. Let me explain, I said, realizing I had found the root of the problem. I quickly and humbly explained why I had given the pen away. I don't want to hear your explanation. You gave something I gave you to someone else. That's disrespectful, she said after I had finished my explanation. Holy crap. You son of a... If you didn't want to hear my explanation, why did you wait until I was finished to say so? I'm sorry. I was wrong. I admitted readily. I just want to know what she was trying to do. Did you or did you not sleep in the same bed with me last night? I did. So you took advantage of me and slept with me? I was ungrateful for your kindness, but that's not what happened. Fine, you won't admit it. I'm calling my dad right now and letting him handle this, Chloe said, grabbing her phone from the nightstand. If she called her dad, it would be a disaster. I could explain, and I had plenty of witnesses to prove my innocence. But even if I explained and proved it, would it just go away? I had spent the night in the same bed with my big bro's future wife. Even if nothing happened, wouldn't he feel weird about it? Damn it, this woman was out to get me. Chapter 14, Thud. I dropped my knees. My lady, you are a merciful goddess sent from heaven. I beg you, please let me go. I pleaded. Humph. You yelled at me twice this morning, Chloe said smugly. I deserve to die. Please punish me, my lady, I said, my voice full of humility. Your attitude is good. I forgive you. Huh, that's simple. I was stunned. You can get up now. I quickly and obediently stood up. As a reward, I'm promoting you from gopher to my boyfriend, Chloe said, dropping a bombshell. I think I'll just stay on my knees. Leo Hayes. Chloe roared. Beep beep. The sound of a key card at the door. I knew it was Sophia. Crap. We made it official last night, and this morning I get caught cheating. Can anyone top that? I fainted. There was nothing else I could do but play dead. Chloe and Sophia started arguing, neither of them paying any attention to me on the floor. From their argument, I learned that this was the second time they had fought. The first time was because of the pen. No wonder Sophia hadn't asked who Chloe was at the party yesterday, even when she sat next to me. She had even tried to toast her. Chloe hadn't drunk it, and Sophia hadn't gotten mad. It was a power move. Women are so much trouble. I never even wanted to date in the first place. Sophia was the one who forced me into it. The commotion got louder, and the hotel staff came. I suddenly shot up. Under the stunned gazes of the two women, I grabbed my phone and keys and ran out in my pajamas. If I didn't run, and all my classmates came to see what was going on, my social life would be over even faster. I got to the underground parking lot, jumped in my Wrangler, and drove straight to the mall. I bought a whole new outfit from the inside out. When I got back to school, I sent a 2-word text to Sophia. We're over. She replied with 1 word. Liar. I knew what she meant. She was probably talking about what I said yesterday, about saving yourself for marriage. And then, as soon as she left, I was in bed with another woman. I didn't bother to explain. It was my first relationship, and it lasted less than 24 hours. From the drama and the cheating to getting caught, the arguments and the breakup, things that people in 10-year relationships might not even experience, I went through it all in one morning. I'm never dating again. I also stopped sending my morning, noon, and night messages to Chloe. If she wanted to break the contract, so be it. I wasn't going to put up with her anymore. If she wanted compensation, she could have her dad come ask for it. I was at my wit's end. For the next month, I didn't leave the research lab. I ate and slept there, until Ethan called me. He said Chloe had too many admirers, and it was seriously affecting her life and safety. He wanted me to pretend to be her boyfriend to ward them off. Holy crap, how cliché. Chloe, she's lying to you. She's beautiful, and she definitely has admirers, but where are we? The top university in the country, a place filled with the best of the best. These guys fought their way in just to ruin their futures by harassing her? And even if that were true, is that something you ask a brother to help with? Pretend to be your future wife's boyfriend to fend off other suitors. Who comes up with these solutions? Bro, are you secretly the Hulk? If I were any less of a decent person, I could have painted you green. I didn't dare say any of this. I knew that after all these years, Ethan still adored Chloe. Sigh, I didn't want to get into it. I just used the excuse that I had a girlfriend to get out of it. But Chloe had already told him I had broken up. The result was that Ethan started calling me several times a day, begging me. It was seriously affecting my research and my life. No matter how I tried to analyze the situation for him, he wouldn't listen. He just kept saying he trusted me, that I was the only one who could help her. I was at a loss for words. I wanted to curse at him. Are you really so eager to push your wife away? I reluctantly agreed. I had no choice. The first thing Chloe did when I saw her was drag me to find Sophia to get the pen back. The awkwardness was off the charts. I acted like my soul was under Chloe's control, a puppet moving at her command. I even changed my online status to The old Leo Hayes is dead. Sigh. I hope people put two and two together. I really wanted to go back to the countryside. Then she used the excuse that she was scared at night and insisted that I move into her apartment in the faculty housing complex and live with her. It was an old-fashioned, one-story house with a yard for bedrooms, 2 living rooms, a kitchen, and 3 bathrooms. It looked a little dated from the outside, but the inside had clearly been newly renovated before Chloe moved in. It was very grand. It's nice to be rich, but as nice as it was, I absolutely could not live with her. If you're scared, live in the dorms. Why are you living alone? I said, firmly opposing the idea. Leo Hayes, don't push your luck. You're my boyfriend. If you don't live with me, it won't look convincing. Will people believe us? The former student body president and the former secretary had announced their relationship in the afternoon, and that same night, the former student body president ditches his girlfriend to cheat with a wealthy sophomore. The whole school knows about our scandalous relationship. How much more convincing do you need? Chloe's gaze flickered, but she still insisted, I don't care. You slept with me. If you don't agree, I'll tell my brother you slept with me. I looked at her, my heart filled with despair. I turned and started packing my things. Don't you dare curse me in your head, Chloe said, running in front of me and bending down to look me in the eye. I rolled my eyes at her. You'll get what's coming to you, she continued. Holy crap. Chloe, you're a menace. Chapter 15. When I moved in her house, I saw that she had 2 maids. 2 people to wait on her, and she said she was scared. She quickly sent the 2 maids away that same day. Holy crap. Couldn't you have done that before I got here? Why did you have to make it so awkward? She saw the look on my face and got angry again. She gave me a list of rules longer than the student handbook, with all sorts of punishments. Damn it. Am I here to be a slave? But you can make as many rules as you want. If I don't follow them, what are you going to do? Break up with me? If you hesitate for even a second, you're not worthy of my new nickname, Leo the Player. Grandma taught me from a young age. A single cloud can't block out the sun, and one fall won't ruin your whole life. Being a rich girl's boyfriend, what's the big deal? Suddenly, a thought occurred to me. The reason Ethan was pushing me toward Chloe, could it be because he wanted to break off the engagement? Chloe was a psycho. She was savage, unreasonable, and violent. Besides being pretty, she had no redeeming qualities. And I believe Ethan is not the kind of shallow person who only cares about looks. Besides, marrying a woman like Chloe would be an endless source of conflict. My bro Ethan is a true heir to a fortune. How could he marry a woman who would drain him like that? And their families were of similar standing with deep business ties. If Ethan married her, he'd have no control over her. Sigh, sigh, sigh. This is bad. The more I thought about it, the more I was convinced this was the case. Otherwise, who in the world would push their wife toward another man? In that moment, it all made sense. But I couldn't be with Chloe either. The difference in our family backgrounds was so vast, the term night and day didn't even begin to cover it. Grandma said that marriages between people of different social classes are very difficult. The huge differences in lifestyle and attitude lead to constant conflict. And it's not just the couple's values that have to align. Their parents' values have to align too. Sigh, I am screwed. My disabled dad and mentally ill mom don't even have values. Sophia, do you still love me? Sophia was completely ignoring me now. She had said she would never forgive me. How long was she my girlfriend? For hours? Maybe a little longer. Counting the time I was asleep with Chloe, it was probably over 12 hours. Damn it, I didn't do anything, and I became the person she would never forgive. Who can I even complain to? Wait, don't they say women mean the opposite of what they say? Should I give her back the safety charm she got from me? If I give it back and she doesn't take it, does that mean there's still a chance? But what about Chloe? Sigh, this is so frustrating. I've gotten myself into a mess with a real troublemaker. But I decided to go return the charm anyway, to test Sophia's reaction. If she didn't take it, I still had a chance. And if there was still a chance, she would definitely listen to my explanation. Unfortunately, when I found her under the watchful eyes of a crowd of gossipers and took out the charm, she snatched it from my hand and walked away without a word. Holy crap. I didn't even have time to say her name. In high school, my classmates nicknamed me the Butler. I had been a rising star for 3 years in college, but in my senior year, I had become Leo the Player. I had only kissed Sophia twice, and I had never been intimate with either of them. How did I become Leo, the player? When Chloe heard the news, she actually took me shopping for clothes as a reward. Heh, a consolation prize for my failed attempt at cheating? On the way back, she said her feet hurt. I was already preparing to carry her like before, but she wanted to switch shoes with me. She was wearing heels, and I, like an idiot, agreed. It was torture. She just laughed her head off. Why do you cover your mouth when you laugh? I asked foolishly. Because I don't think I look good when I laugh. But your hands are ugly too. Leo Hayes, you made me angry. You're dead, she said, her expression changing in an instant. She pushed me hard. I stumbled back dramatically, as if she had sent me flying. Then I ran back, panting. Wow, I'm back. You're so strong. I felt like I just got hit by a car. Leo Hayes, I'm not done with you, she shrieked, jumping up and trying to hit me. I'll just keep provoking you. You wanted me to be your boyfriend. I'm not going to coddle you. You made your choice. But running in her heels was a bit ridiculous, which just made her laugh even more. Fortunately, during the day, she had classes and I had my research. At night, I cooked for her, we'd bicker a bit, and then go to our separate rooms. On weekends, I'd take her shopping or out to do something fun, and I'd usually get some perks out of it. Hey, this life was better than I expected. She still tried to mess with me, but her tricks were a bit amateurish. She could only find fault with me in obvious ways, using it as an excuse to torment me. But I usually ran circles around her intellectually. One time at dinner, I took a glass with some ice in it and said to her, Chloe, let's make a bet. She looked at me with a pout, wary. What's the bet? I bet you can't get the ice out of this glass with just your tongue. She took the glass, looked at it, and asked, what if I can? I'll grant you one twisted wish. You said it. Yes, my word is my bond. Deal. Then she started trying to figure out how to get the ice out with her tongue. I made an excuse to go to the bathroom. I found a waitress and told her that my girlfriend had some intellectual challenges and that I needed to use the restroom for a while, and asked if she could keep an eye on her. The waitress eagerly agreed. Then I hid and secretly recorded the whole thing. The waitress walked over to Chloe, who was still trying to lick the ice. Hey there, little one. Are you playing with ice? The waitress asked, bending down with a kind smile. Chloe looked at her, confused. No, The waitress cut her off. Let me get you a big bowl. This glass is too small, and it'll get all slobbery. That's not very hygienic. Then, without waiting for a reply, she brought over a large bowl filled with ice. Chloe tried to explain that she wasn't a child and didn't need the ice. Oh, not a little one, a little beauty, right? The waitress cooed. You're so pretty. Well, if you don't want to play with ice, how about I play with you for a bit? Chloe was so embarrassed she didn't know what to do with her hands. I'll sing you a song, the waitress said. She started clapping and singing a children's song. A little snail with its heavy shell is climbing up the vines so slow. The waitress suddenly stopped and asked, what are the next words? Yellow birds, please don't you laugh. By the time I'm up, the grapes will be ripe. Chloe clapped along, awkwardly singing the reply. Wow, you're so smart. Let me give you a little prize, the waitress said with exaggerated praise, then pulled out a small toy and gave it to Chloe. Chloe looked like she wanted to crawl under the table, but she still smiled, took the toy, and said thank you. Ha! I was laughing so hard my stomach hurt. When I walked back over, the waitress saw me and said to Chloe enthusiastically, bye-bye, little beauty. Next time you come to eat, come find me to play, okay? Chapter 16, Chloe awkwardly waved goodbye to the waitress. Actually, Chloe was a completely different person in public than she was with me. Like Ethan, she had the manners and upbringing of a wealthy family ingrained in her from a young age. I often complained that she was useless, but that was unfair. She was fluent in several languages, and she was skilled in all the traditional arts of a well-bred lady. Music, painting, calligraphy, to the point where she could perform on stage. In social situations, she had a natural grace and always acted with poise and propriety. In that respect, I was no match for her. In short, in formal settings, her behavior made it clear that she was on a different level from the rest of us. But with me, it was a completely different story. Take her interaction with a waitress, for example. She didn't show any of the bossiness she showed me. What the hell? Sigh. But I had to give that waitress credit. During dinner, Chloe kept telling me about what had just happened. Why did I need her to tell me? I had recorded the whole thing, haha. On our way out, the waitress greeted her warmly again and walked us to the door. "Bye, sweetie. Remember to come find me next time you're here to eat." Chloe awkwardly waved goodbye. Ha! I bet Chloe will never eat at this place again. When we were almost back at the faculty housing, she made a bet with me that she could walk home from there in exactly 100 steps. She took 99 giant leaps and was still a few hundred yards away from the house. I have no idea how she came up with that number. Of course, she never lost a bet she proposed because I carried her the 100th step of the way home. Later, she brought my grandma and my parents out of the care facility. My dad and mom were moved to a different long-term care hospital, and Grandma came to live with us. Grandma wasn't surprised that Chloe and I were dating. She had said that it's much easier for a woman to pursue a man than the other way around. She didn't ask any questions and wasn't overly affectionate with Chloe. I didn't tell her anything either, but she seemed to like it here. She would often walk around the campus. To my surprise, Chloe was a completely different person around Grandma. She was gentle, considerate, and doting, the perfect granddaughter. She spent most of her time after class walking around campus with Grandma. Grandma loved history and culture, and Chloe could talk to her about it for hours with endless patience. After Grandma moved in, our relationship started to heat up dramatically. It had to. She started climbing into my bed at night. With Grandma in the house, I didn't dare make a sound. And Chloe was as stubborn as a mule. She only fought harder when I resisted. I had no choice but to give in for fear of waking up my grandma. I also discovered a secret. Chloe slept like she owned the whole bed, with none of the grace of a well-bred lady. But even though we were sleeping in the same bed, I still held back. Besides kissing and hugging, we never did anything more. In my second year of grad school, being with Chloe had become a habit. We were like an old married couple. "Leo, when are you going to propose to me?" "After you graduate." "Leo, do you still think about Sophia?" "How could I?" "Leo, I have good news. Sophia got married." "Leo, do you like quiet girls or bossy girls?" "Your type." "Leo, your new assistant seems pretty quiet." "I don't like quiet girls." "Leo, I want to eat lamb stew tonight." "I'll make it tonight." Yay! The year I graduated with my master's degree, I successfully developed the intelligent drone chip. The Cole and Reed families invested another $100 million, diluting their shares by 10%. I didn't even have to look for outside investors. Everything was handled internally. I immediately started setting up a factory with the goal of being able to manufacture all the parts for the quadcopter ourselves. A year later, Ethan got engaged to an English woman. The Cole and Reed families were still on good terms. I asked Ethan in private, "Weren't you and Chloe engaged since you were kids?" Ethan looked at me in disbelief. "What the hell? She's my cousin. How could I be engaged to her? Get out of here. You don't even have the same last name. And you said it yourself in high school," I said with a frown. This was not a funny joke. "We're not just related, we're first cousins. How could we be engaged?" Ethan said definitively, "You said it yourself in front of the whole class in high school. And not just the class, you told a lot of people," I demanded. "Sorry, we were just kids back then. Guys were pursuing her pretty aggressively, and it was actually getting dangerous. I was a year ahead of her and knew my way around the school, so my family told me to say that to scare off anyone with bad intentions. Didn't you notice that even the teachers didn't call our parents in to discipline us for it?" Ethan explained, looking at me strangely. "You're a rich kid. The school didn't dare offend you," I said, feeling weary. This misunderstanding had caused a lot of trouble. Bullshit. That's a matter of principle. The school would have called our parents no matter how powerful we were. Wow. You don't mean to say you kept your distance from Chloe all those years because of that, do you? I was speechless. I had actually known they were related from the beginning. But haven't powerful families always been about keeping it in the family? And even now, it's not illegal to marry your cousin. I just never thought they were that closely related. I had met other members of the Cole and Reed families over the years. But I was always busy, and our conversations at gatherings were always very polite and superficial. We never got into the details of their family relationships, and I felt it would be rude to ask. It would make me look like I was just trying to marry into money, so I always avoided those kinds of topics. So I never asked. Sigh, words can't even describe it. I guess so. Sigh. Actually, Chloe has liked you since sophomore year. I was totally shipping you guys back then, but she was a little hesitant because of all the rumors about you at school, so she took it out on you. And you idiot, you never gave her an inch. You made her cry several times with your comebacks, Ethan said, seeing my dejected look. Hey, it's all your fault. You were the one laughing the loudest, I said resentfully. Ethan pursed his lips and frowned at me. After a long pause, he said, I was shipping you too. Wait, hold on, you don't like me, do you? I immediately jumped back, putting some distance between us. Get lost, I yelled. Geez, you scared the hell out of me. But seriously, you know Chloe repeated a year just to go to the same university as you? She worked so hard. And you bastard, you didn't contact her. And when she came to school, you pretended you didn't know her. You got some nerve, Ethan complained. I knew why Chloe had repeated a year. I also knew that she had used Ethan's account to gossip with me during my freshman and sophomore year breaks. I knew everything, except that they were first cousins. Thank God I didn't miss my chance. After all, who doesn't love a beautiful rich girl? Chapter 17, I just couldn't, I explained awkwardly. In my head, I was cursing him for calling me a bastard. If it wasn't for protecting his pride, would I have gone through all that? Nonsense. I know what you were thinking. Don't say it was for me. I won't accept that. And why didn't you just ask me? When I asked you to pretend to be her boyfriend, didn't you think something was off? At first, I thought you were cuckold. Then I thought you wanted to break off the engagement. Go to hell. You're the cuckold. I really don't get you sometimes. You're so smart, but you don't know how to ask a simple question? And you two have been living together for so long, even sleeping in the same bed. You must have talked about everything. Why didn't you talk about this? I was speechless. That question had been a thorn in my side. It was a sensitive topic. How could I have asked? I didn't answer him. He continued, You're really something else, being able to hold back from touching her. Sigh. It's no wonder you're so good at your studies. Your self-control is unmatched. My parents and Chloe's parents, we all think that the reason the drone technology has advanced so quickly and gotten so many patents is because you're still a virgin. Damn it, can you just stop? Can you talk like a normal person? I said, my face burning with embarrassment. Hey, Leo, you're 27. Isn't it about time you lost that V card? What are you talking about? Fisk, it's a figure of speech. Holy crap. Can you please just be a decent human being? Ethan threw his head back and roared with laughter. I urged him to hurry up and go outside. The ceremony was about to start. Bro, being your friend is the best decision I've ever made in my life, Ethan said sincerely. After all, if he had really been engaged to Chloe, anyone else would have been trying to steal her away from him to climb the social ladder. After Ethan's engagement ceremony, Grandma solemnly gave the fountain pen she had treasured for so long to Chloe. Chloe held the pen and started to cry. That pen had a story. It was the engagement gift my grandfather had given my grandma. Ethan knew, and Chloe knew. The pen Chloe had given me was meant to be a symbol of our own story, just like my grandparents. That's why she had insisted that I get it back. I later learned that before Sophia's confession, Chloe had been using Ethan's account to get information about my college life. She had already started pursuing me, but I was hopelessly clueless, which is why she had forced me to sign the Gopher contract. She didn't dare to just barge into my life. My grandma's love story was a constant reminder of the class divide. She could sense my grandma's reservations. So she wanted me to get used to her first, to slowly become a part of my life. Then she would use her little tricks to make me pursue her so that everything would happen naturally and my grandma would have no objections. But then Sophia had to go and steal the show with her bold confession. So Chloe decided to be bold too. Sigh. Sophia was a really great secretary. She's about to have a baby now. I thought that after pursuing me for 2 years, she would have waited for me out of stubbornness. But I was wrong. We were a couple for a few hours, went through all that drama, and in the end, she married someone else. Wasn't my attitude when I got the pen back and my online status enough to show that I was in a difficult situation? Holy crap, what am I even hoping for? I slapped myself. Chloe, she's my girlfriend. Why am I feeling regret over someone else's wife? My net worth, based on the company's latest valuation, is in the billions. Even though I'm not as rich as the Coles or the Reeds yet, I'm still a billionaire. Once I develop a stable gimbal system, I'll open up a whole new market for drones. At that point, the value of my company will surpass both the Cole and Reed families combined. I am now worthy of marrying Chloe. That day, I proposed to her. Our wedding was held on the same day as Ethan's. It was a grand affair. On the big screen in the center of the hall, a video played on a loop a collection of all the secret videos I had taken of her, her most real, her happiest, her most embarrassing moments. Chloe was deeply moved. She hugged me and cried for a long time. Then, together, we placed an apricot, grown by my grandma, in every wedding favor. We wished for all the people who love us and whom we love to have a life filled with peace, joy, and love. May all your wishes come true. May all you receive be what you hoped for. May your path be smooth. May you lose nothing but loveless things. May you have much joy and always be at peace. I just wonder if my grandfather, up in heaven, saw it all.